everybody, what's up? And welcome back to this limited series. We'll be discussing some more Obi-Wan on Disney Plus. We're down to or up to episode 3 now. So halfway. A lot more notes taken on this one, I realized as I read back through the Google Doc here. A lot more details in this episode, a lot more going on. It's just getting better and better. This was way better.
Yeah.
So first it starts off, we have Obi-Wan kind of speaking. I think this time it was in his head. I never saw his mouth move this time. They did show one scene behind him though. So he could have been talking then, right? But he's speaking to his masters.
Yes.
And his master Qui-Gon. He's speaking for guidance and strength. We do hear voices this time. We hear Yoda talking to him.
Yes.
We do hear Qui-Gon mention that he should have been the one to train Anakin. And there's some other voices in there. I couldn't tell who they all were.
Yeah, I couldn't make out who all the different voices were. I definitely could make out obviously Yoda and Qui-Gon.
There was a female voice in there, and I couldn't pick that one out.
Yeah, I couldn't either.
So I don't know if that was supposed to be Padme. It did not sound like Padme, and she wasn't really a Jedi. So I don't know who that one was. But then right after that, we get a cut to Vader getting suited up. So that whole at the end of part 2, or episode 2, I don't know how to call those.
They call them parts.
They call them parts here, but then that confuses you
with the movies.
Yeah. Like, so episodes are parts, but this episode, I'm going to say it that way. They ended the last episode with Vader's eyes opening, boom, done. And this, they go right back to that, but after we see Obi-Wan, and he's all scarred up. He looks like Freddy Krueger. His back is all charred and mangled. I mean, that's really what they went for, is like how badly scarred and damaged he was.
Yeah. And they're like showing his back and you see all the scars, and then they get to his arms and like, obviously his hands are missing basically from the elbow down.
Yep. And
then you see him put the,
like the gloves and the arm on.
The gloves and his arm on, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And put the helmet on.
Yeah, they put his chest plate on too.
Yeah.
Very neat sequence. Like you only really saw in Empire. You did see in the movie one time him without his helmet on before they revealed him in Jedi, Return of the Jedi. This was a way more detailed version of what is Vader doing when he's not out, being Vader.
He's in the soap.
And you do see Hayden Christensen for the first time. You see him, like mouth up in the suit as the helmet comes on again, similar to what we saw at the end of Revenge of the Sith.
Yes.
So very similar to that, except this time he's standing up instead of laying on a table and the helmet coming face down. It was very cool. I liked it. I was pretty pumped, and we get the breathing. And then the third sister shows up.
Just that iconic breathing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, very iconic. Unmistakable. But the third sister shows up, has a little chat with him one-on-one in person. And we get James Earl Jones back with the voice again. And if it's not him, sorry, guys, I didn't look up IMDb. But if it's not him, it's the best sound alike I've ever heard in my life. So that was pretty cool. And he essentially tells her that he will give her the reins.
Grand Inquisitor.
You can be the Grand Inquisitor.
If he gives him Obi-Wan, he will give her Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah. And like she wasn't already hyped enough to go out and do this.
Now she's extra pumped.
Oh shit. She is ready to go. And then we do get a cut back to Obi-Wan and Leia. Leia asks him what the Force feels like, which was kind of a neat moment. Like they've never explained that before. Like they always just said that, it's the light that surrounds you and surrounds all beings. But they go a little step further when he says, you know what it's like in the dark when you turn the light on, how that makes you feel. And she says, safe. And he says, like that. It's like that. That was pretty cool. Like, well, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I thought that was really cool how they kind of like explained how the Force makes you feel.
Well, and it was I guess more for a child too, like an easier, more understanding description to a child to be answered. I mean, even though like she's just as smart as Obi-Wan almost,
right?
But he kind of answered her the way you would answer a kid, which was cool.
That was cool.
It's like a good answer to give your children when they when they ever ask you like, well, what is the Force actually supposed to be like? Oh, okay, that's cool. It's just something that makes you feel safe.
And it makes sense because the Force is a light, like it's good, it's safe. So I thought that was really neat how they did that.
Yeah, and how they describe, the dark side, and you can get lost in it. Well, you get lost in the dark, right?
Yeah.
It was kind of neat
analogy.
Yeah, something I never thought of before until this. So, we did then move on to Lola being fixed. He hands her, hands her back to Leia. Lola gets
there's lots of L's.
Lola, Leia. Yeah, and then later Leia has a different name that's not starts with an L too. It's confusing, but they end up landing on a planet, some sort of desert type planet. They call it a mining planet. Mafuzo is what I heard them call the planet. I don't know how to spell that, but they do land there, and Obi-Wan kind of talks about it, how it's been ravaged by the Empire. It used to be fields and
families and farms, and now it's just desert.
Yeah, it's pretty much just run down. Not quite as much desert as Tatooine, but it's a lot of desert. And then we cut to Obi-Wan and them just kind of walking, Obi-Wan and Leia walking, and then he sees like another Jedi just standing in a field.
No, see, that was hated Anakin.
Yeah, it's weird though, like because they didn't zoom in enough for you to see him on screen, and we're watching like a 60-inch TV. But he looks over and he sees a cloak. Cloak turns around, looks at him. Leia's like, what's going on with Ben? And then she looks over and there's nobody there. He looks back, there's nobody there. And then he's like, we need to watch. We need to watch. So yeah, you're probably right. It was Anakin.
Yeah.
Before he turned, maybe, but it is obviously a vision. It wasn't Anakin.
Yeah, it was a vision.
It was a vision.
It was a vision of Anakin.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what made him like, how you get the hairs like the stand on the back of your neck. He was like, okay, now we have to be serious and keep an eye out.
Yeah. Almost like he knew he was close.
Something's coming.
Yeah, exactly. Like he could see the future or something. That was right before then the third sister, she ends up going back to one of the Empire bases, talking to her other the bros of Inquisitors,
Yeah, like is he like second brother?
I don't
know.
They have not said his name.
Them.
Yeah, that's kind of one thing I have been kind of noticing with more and more shows is they don't introduce the people with a name anymore. You find out their name much after they've been introduced. So I would like to see that changed. That's one of my small complaints, because they did that with another character today that we'll talk about. But yeah, he's not happy. This is the guy. He's like the Asian guy, the Asian Inquisitor, I guess, from the Fast and the Furious movie. He's not happy.
No, he is not happy because he finds out that the third sister talked to Vader directly, and he was like, "Oh, he knows she's gunning for his position," and he tells her, "I'm going to be the next Grand Inquisitor. I'm next in line. It's mine." And she's like, "We'll see." Yeah.
He like does a force hold on her, like holds her down and releases her and whatnot during his little speech. But she tells him, "I'm the leader. Vader has given me the lead, and you're going to send out the probes." And they don't want to listen. And, she makes them more or less. I mean, there's not really a fight or anything, but he gives up and does it, begrudgingly. Exactly what I was going to say.
They send them out.
Yep. So those land on whatever planets they go to. We cut back to Obi-Wan and Leia, and they arrive where they were directed by Haja, with the key card and stuff he gave to them. And like we mentioned, it's a desert planet, and they get to the location he said to go to, and it's just a big mess of desert.
Yeah, and no one's there.
Nobody's there. And then we get a nice little Leia moment, which I really enjoyed. He first, the rules he gave her was like, just be quiet, don't talk.
Yeah, you don't talk. And she's like, I don't talk, or I can't talk.
Yeah.
And he's like, you don't talk.
Like, just don't say anything.
Don't say anything.
And that doesn't work too well, right?
That's the first thing she does. Flags someone down and just starts talking.
Rattles off a story that she's had. I mean, just perfectly. She's already got it laid out. We're farmers, and this is my dad, and we need a ride, and she's got it all planned out. But the transport guy, he's like, hey, hop on, I'll give you a ride. And he gets on, and just as they're getting on, they see an Empire sigil that's on the back of this transport. So
and Obi-Wan's like, fuck.
He's a little leery. He's a little leery about that.
No.
So then they cut to them just kind of cruising and riding all around on this thing. And the guy driving's kind of like an alien being in a way, right? Mm-hmm. He's just asking them questions, where are you from? And they've run across some stormtroopers. They're just kind of walking around the desert, and they're like, he hollers at them, and they hop on. They're like, well, we're looking for Jedi. And a Jedi, I hope everything's going to be okay. It's like, yeah, it'll be fine. We'll find them. We always do.
And then they sit down right across from Obi-Wan, a Jedi.
Right across from him.
Like, I don't care what anybody says. I love the stormtroopers because they're so freaking dumb.
Yeah.
Like, nothing ever clicks with them. They can't shoot worth anything. Nope. And they just don't use their brains.
Nope. It makes for some good comedy.
It does make for some good comedy.
Originally was not meant to be a comedy, I don't think. I think Lucas planned on some cool stormtrooper dudes.
I think so.
They slowly become the comic relief.
And now they've just kind of leaned into that. And I'm like, all right, I'm here for that. Yeah. Like, let's do this.
Yeah, 100%. So they basically ride with the troopers for a little while. And they're, how about you? Have you seen any Jedi? And Obi-Wan's like, I wouldn't even know what they look like, And they asked, she's obviously, he says that they're, what are you doing here? It's kind of a far from home kind of thing, because they're supposedly visiting family at this area of this planet. And quick-witted little Leia, she's like, this is where my mom was at, and then
this is where her and my dad met. He brought me back here, and she's not with us anymore. And basically spews off the story about, her mom passed away and her dad brought her here to see where they met. And
Obi-Wan cuts her off too.
Yeah, he does. He stops her, like, let's not get too far into this story here.
He takes over. And then he says Leia. Well, they've introduced her as Loya or something like that. It was just a different L name, very close to Leia.
L name.
And they're like, wait a minute, Leia, you called her Leia. So it's one of the smart moments from a stormtrooper.
Right.
And until Obi-Wan takes it away. And
he's like, that's my wife's name. I get confused sometimes. Like I said, it's been really hard.
When I look into her face, I see her mother, and, I miss her so very much, and I get confused. And then
he's saying this as he's looking in, like, Leia in the eyes. Yeah. And you're like, he's talking about Padme.
Oh, yeah.
Like, 100%.
And then the transport stops and the troopers get off. And Leia's wise. She knows she's adopted. She's obviously, she's already known that. We find that out now. Mm-hmm. They haven't lied to her and told her anything. They told her that she is adopted, and she now knows by the way Obi-Wan was talking. Like, she goes, you knew her, didn't you? My real mother. So you get in that one line, you get quite a bit of information. You get that she's very aware, like, of all things that are happening all the time, clearly still even smarter than we think, but also that Obi-Wan knew her, and we all find out as an audience that she knows she's been adopted.
Right.
And, he, doesn't deny it. Essentially, he just says, that kind of thing. And, then she's like, what? Are you my father? So it's kind of a little joke, I think, too. Like, the whole, like, Luke, I'm your father. Like, you get Leia going, are you my father?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I wish I was, like,
I wish I could say I was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And
I thought that scene was really nice, but I kind of would have liked, like, I guess I didn't think she was going to ask if he was her dad. Like, I kind of thought maybe she would ask some questions about her mom. But
I think we're getting there. I don't think they're going to do that all at once. I think they're really doing a really good job, just kind of peppering through the hot points. Yeah, and I think they'll get through that at some point.
I would like that. Like,
I mean, she did say that she's thought about what they were like. She mentions the dad, and then she's like, I've often imagined what they were like. And she's referencing the father and the mother, but she hasn't found out that clearly that
her father is
Vader
actually
is
still alive,
which we all know when
and he's hunting her.
If you've been watching Star Wars, when she figures that out.
If you're, yeah.
Spoiler alert, she figures that out in a couple movies. So yeah, then we get stopped at a checkpoint at this point now, and he's like, "Oh, don't worry, it'll be fine. I know these guys. It'll be quick."
Checkpoint, yeah.
And yeah, it's quick, all right. They get off and have to go through this check process basically, and as they get down, Obi-Wan kind of pops the little cap on his blaster, the holster of it there, and a probe comes around the corner. We're like, oh shit, here we go.
Yep.
One of the probes has landed and it's doing its thing.
It's about to go down.
And it's they make him put his head up because he cloaks himself, and they're like, put your face up, put your head up. And then he does. And then just as the thing recognizes who he is, he blows its head off and then starts proceeding to take out the other troopers with his blaster. And he clears them. He clears them out, does his job. One amazing moment though, which was badass, like really super awesome. Cool, was he shoots one of them off of a tower and they fall on the beam that is blocking them from getting through. And it's just essentially it's a lightsaber beam, more or less. It just slices the stormtrooper straight in half.
Right in half. We were like,
it was so good. It was an O moment in the house.
It was an O moment, yes. It reminded me of the first episode of The Mandalorian with the door where he's fighting the guy. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good reference. That does it really hit home like, well, this is a little more high PG-13.
Yes.
We're not going into PG or M, but they're or I guess what is it? R. G. We're not going anything. Yeah, definitely not G.
Yeah.
No. Too much violence for G. But this is definitely a heavy PG-13 rating. I liked it. I thought it was cool.
I thought it was awesome.
It makes total sense. They're gonna fall in that thing. They're gonna get
cut in half.
Yeah, they're gonna eat
You're
shit.
Done.
Yeah. So that was pretty neat. And then what would have been kind of cooler though if he because it cauterizes you. If the upper part of his body rolled over and started crawling with a couple hands, that would have been cool. And then Obi-Wan just has to blast him.
Yeah.
It would have just shown the gumption of the stormtroopers. They're going for their guy.
But they don't have gumption.
I know. I'm just trying to help Lucas out. That's all. So then they end up getting captured. They think again, more stormtroopers show up and they're in another transport
with a general.
It's
someone kind of
important. Or like a colonel or a general. I don't know what to call them, but yeah. She's kind of in the back of them and they go out and they're like, get on your knees and get down. And he does. And you think they're about to waste him. Obviously we all know that's not going to happen. And she kills all of them. We have a double agent on her hands now that we find out. And I will tell everybody her name now because the episode decided to wait and do that later, but her name is Tarla. And she actually helps Jedi escape. She knows of them and kind of has in communication with them. And anybody who is force sensitive or a Jedi, she helps them through kind of like an underground. What was it? The underground. What was it in real life? Was it there was a train underground
railroad?
Yeah, like an underground railroad, right?
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. This is exactly like that. It's just a tunnel that has been hidden in this dock or this bay of some kind, like an unloading bay or something, I guess, right? In this city. So she guides him back there, and then there's a little moment where Leia admits, she's sorry she ran away and. She misses home and all that. And Obi-Wan kind of consoles her and tells her, you'll be home soon.
Yep. It wasn't your fault.
Yeah. It's kind of a sweet moment. You really do see this, definitely the teacher side of Obi-Wan and the remorseful side to things that I think we missed in the movies, honestly, because they skipped so many things when they went from episode 1 to 2. There's 10-year gap. Yeah. And then they went from episode, 2, Attack of the Clones, to Revenge of the Sith. There's another couple of years, and we don't get to see those bonding moments that happen without battle, right?
Right.
And it was kind of cool to see these little moments continue to happen with Leia, and
you can tell that he really cares. He and Padme were really good friends. He and Anakin were really good friends. He wants the best for these kids.
Yeah.
And but you can tell that.
I think they're focusing mainly, this is just my opinion, but I think they're focusing mainly on the whole aspect of how Obi-Wan and Leia have such a deep connection before A New Hope gets here.
Yeah.
That's what I think. So I really like that.
I think that's true too, because, you know, in A New Hope, Luke just makes fun of Obi-Wan pretty much. Yeah. He's like, that crazy guy, Ben.
Right, exactly. But it's just like that whole peppering in thing that I'm talking about. That's what I think they're doing. I think these are like these small little pieces that you can take a lot from in a rewatch. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I'm just thinking about them. Like, obviously we do a podcast after we watch it, but I think about them in depth, and then I get to talk out loud about them, and then I'm thinking about them a second time. And that's how I think it's really going to play out, as we're going to end with this amazing connection between the two of them, or we're going to see it like built to a point, because we don't know how many seasons of this there's going to be, right?
Right.
It could be more than one. It could just be the 6 and we're done here with 6 episodes, but we'll see. But I really liked that moment. I thought, you know, we're getting a little bit of those every episode so far that they've interacted, and they're each one of them just a little bit more. It may sound dumb to some people too. Like it was just a sentence or two, no big deal. There's a bunch of meaning there.
Yeah, there's a lot. Like in Star Wars, 1 or 2 sentences can be like the whole point of the movie.
Yes.
You just got to pay attention.
We do run into another one of our, they always have to introduce us to a new droid, right? So this one, we actually run into Ned B. I'm pretty sure that's what they said. Once again, I haven't been watching with subtitles. Maybe I should do that to be better clarified on these podcasts. But I heard Ned B.
I heard Ned B as well.
Okay. And they introduce Ned B and Lola, you know, and Ned B doesn't talk. He's a loader bot, is what they call him. And they don't have a voice command at all.
Nope. They don't have a way to communicate.
But he has been modified, or, you know, hacked, or whatever you want to say, to work for the rebels.
Yes.
You know, so, which is cool. He's working with Tarla. He's basically her sidekick.
Yep. And Tarla says actions
speak louder than words. Yeah, because Leia's like, well, you can't talk. What if he has something to say? And she's like, actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
Once again, that's another thing. It has a small sentence, has big meaning. We'll probably play later, I guess. We'll find out. But like I said, she helps them escape through this kind of underground railroad sort of thing. And she shows everything that's, you know, she's done, talks about some people. They do mention a name called Quinlan. Obi-Wan mentions Quinlan. He's like, Quinlan was here, and he's reading something, like a passage on the wall. They like scratched in with like something. And it says, in the light, I have it written down here, only when the eyes are closed, you can see. And Leia's like, well, what's that mean? And he's like, well, you're guiding yourself. Like you can't see until you close the light. You can't see the point or where you're going. And once again, that's another one. I think that's a big deal. I think
so too.
For sure. And I think Quinlan is going to come into play. We're going to see him in an episode, or her. I'm excited for that. We'll see. I don't think you'd say their name and not have them alive later, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't write these things.
We just watch them.
We just watch them and talk about them. That's it. And then you do get another little spunky moment from Leia, where she sees Tarla like changing clothes and getting into her rebel gear. And she's like, oh, and she kind of sees the blaster and stuff. She's like, will you teach me to shoot? And she's like, And then she's like, I think you got a fighter on your hands there. And Obi-Wan's like, I think you're right. So that proves out true. Obviously, she becomes a general of herself, right? On her own. Much later, but still, she becomes a general. And then they open the doors to escape, and they take off. But right before that, that's when we get a big moment. A big one. Real big.
They're going down the tunnels.
Huge moment.
And Obi-Wan stops.
He has this overwhelming feeling. He's like lost his breath, and he stops and turns around, and they're like, what are you doing? You know, you got to come on.
Yeah, let's go.
He goes out to the front of this hideout and looks out, and he sees the Inquisitors show up, and then we see a Vader shadow. And it's on. Vader is hundreds of feet away from Obi-Wan right now. And holy hell, I was ready. Like, I'm trying to take notes while I watch and still keep good notes. But it was like, man, this is really hard not to just put this stuff down and not take notes. But man, just seeing him walk down this, I just want to call it a
road.
I guess alley. It's an alley or a road with just, houses on each side.
Yeah.
And he's just force choking people and
pulling people out the windows.
Yeah.
And
dragging the one down just force chokes one of them and then just drags her down the road with him as he's walking.
Behind him.
Force choking her, dragging her. Like, he's not touching anybody, He breaks one of the guy's necks, like puts him on the ground and just, breaks it. He's like, oh shit. Now we're talking about a Vader this is the Vader that is going to explain why everybody was so scared in A New Hope when he showed up on that battleship.
I mean, you can even tell like the Inquisitors are scared of him.
Oh yeah.
Like they're
doing exactly what he says.
Yeah, they're not doing anything different.
I don't know what I want to call him. Middle Inquisitor, I guess. He is telling the third sister, like, do what he says. Like, he said that we need to basically comb the whole place and find what we need to find. Nothing else. Just go find people and search. And she clearly doesn't listen.
No.
But this guy is like, you don't mess around with Vader.
Yeah, you don't disobey him because he will end you.
And they show you so much, like, how evil he is. It's just awesome.
Crazy. It is awesome. It's crazy awesome. Like,
I mean, it's just building on his character.
Evil and he's so strong.
Yeah, it was awesome. I'm loving the building of the characters so much. I'm getting already what I mentioned before. I'm getting the Qui-Gon thing because I really want to see that go on. That's one big thing for me. But the more I'm seeing them build the characters, we're building Vader, we're building Leia, we're building Obi-Wan, and I'm like, this makes so much more sense than focusing on Obi-Wan and Luke, because we saw that already. We saw that in A New Hope. And I think, and I haven't seen anybody complaining about that yet, but I think that'll be a complaint from some people, maybe some hardcore fans, that he's supposed to be protecting Luke and he's not even there and, all that kind of stuff. I've thought of that, and I'm like, that, you know what? It doesn't bother me, because A New Hope all the way through Jedi is Luke's story. With some Leia in there. We get to see Leia go. Okay. And then we finally get Leia's ending story at the, final,
final
7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
But this is like Leia's origin story. We already got Luke's origin story more or less, because he started as nothing, right?
Of it too. Like, we're learning more about Leia and how she became the person she was, at the end.
Yeah.
Like, and she's always been an important Star Wars character to me.
Yeah.
Like,
sure.
She is to everyone.
She's one of the first ones we saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, she just, and I'm happy that we're getting her back. Like, her
absolutely.
backstory, her origin story. Yeah. I mean, I didn't want it to be like Luke. Like, I've heard so much about Luke. I've seen everything about Luke. I love Luke, but can we, I'm happy it's more Leia.
And they couldn't, I don't know how they could have done it and call the show Obi-Wan either, because Obi-Wan's supposed to be watching from a distance and just protecting the boy.
Right.
And even, when you watch A New Hope, Luke is like, Obi-Wan Kenobi, could that be Ben Kenobi? Like, he doesn't even know the guy. He hardly knows his name. Like, he remembers him and knows of him, but like, there's not a connection of any kind there.
No.
You see that connection in that movie. So I'm blown away with how much I do like this story, because I didn't expect it to be this good. I mean, it's amazingly done, but I'm extra blown away with how much they're building the characters that I want to see more from.
Right.
And I didn't think about it. Like, I did not know I wanted more background story on a Obi-Wan and Leia until this. And it made total sense. I'm like, why wouldn't I have thought that beforehand? Because you still never had gotten an answer watching A New Hope. Like, why does she send him the message? How do they have a connection? How does she know him? None of that was ever explained.
Right.
None of it. But
now it is.
We were okay with it.
We kind of know now.
And now we're going to get it explained. And I'm super excited to continue. It's going to be great. So super excited still on the episode. We're not done yet, because we're getting to the big meat of it here toward the end, the big finale, that Vader he finds Obi-Wan. Simple enough. Like he goes down his deal, does his little force choking and whatnot, and Obi-Wan takes off, and he's like, "You take Leia," and Tarla takes Leia, and they go through the tunnel, and Obi-Wan takes off and goes another way to, obviously save Leia. That's why he's there. And they meet each other, saber out. I mean, Vader's like, "Let's go now."
He's ready.
And he's just like, it was just awesome. I mean, the line I have written down here is Obi-Wan tries to run away first off. Vader catches him or finds him, and he simply says to Vader, like, "What have you become?" And Vader says, "I am what you made me." I'm like, oh man.
He's like, "You should have killed me when you had the chance.
You should have killed me when you had the chance." Yep. And that whole scene kind of goes down. He's kind of force choking. Well, at that point, they're not quite there yet, but he's doing a bunch of shit to Obi-Wan, and he like force pushes him through like pretty far back. And then Obi-Wan creates like a distraction by cutting like a
steam vent.
Yeah, some sort of a line that kind of shields him so he can get away through the fog. And it cuts to Leia, and Leia says, "You have to go help him. Like, I can go on my own for the rest of the way. You have to go help him." Like this little 10-year-old is like smart. Yeah, I got this. You go help the old man. He needs help. So Tarla gets her to the point she needs and turns around and takes back off to go help Obi-Wan. We cut to the third sister. She is now searching in this area. She's doing what she shouldn't be doing. She, like we mentioned earlier, she's not listening to the middle Inquisitor guy. And she sees like this kind of misplaced, weirdly placed sort of thing.
Rack.
Yeah. She moves it, and it's got the door behind it. She goes into the door, sees then she sees a rebel emblem like just carved into the wall, and you can see it just lights the fire. She's done, and she finds the door.
Yep.
And in the door she goes.
Yep. Down the tunnels.
Yep.
You're like, uh-oh.
Yeah. There's only one thing she can run into in the tunnels. It's that simple. And we're like, oh boy, here we go. We know it's going to happen. But yeah, we then cut back to Vader and Obi-Wan in an actual saber fight at this point. And he tells Obi-Wan, the years have made you weak. and the voice is so good.
It's so like, good. You're like, oh,
yes, on point. And honestly, if it is Hayden Christensen in the suit, he's doing great. He is doing great. He's got the walk down. He looks menacing, and you look like you're scared of the guy. It's like, I see why kids in the 70s, because I'm a child of technically the 80s, born in 81, but I see why kids of the 70s that were, teenagers watched this and was like scared shitless.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What?
Like, you just don't see anything like that on television, and we're seeing a Vader that we haven't seen yet in the movies or the TV shows of any kind, and we're seeing it. So it's like, I get it. I totally understand. I feel you. And it was pretty awesome. So they, obviously, he's needing help now at this point. And this is where they do the fire.
Yep.
Where he's now like kind of across this rocky plain. They're kind of in a quarry at this point.
Kind of like a stone quarry.
Big stone piles.
Minerals or something,
Yeah, because whatever he knocks over is flammable. Because he force pulls all these crates down, and this stuff goes all over the ground, and he lights it on fire. Like, how did he light it on fire? I'm trying to remember that. Did he do something to it? Hit it with the saber? I don't remember.
Yeah, he hit it with his saber.
Okay. I don't remember that part. I guess I looked away. But yeah, he lights it all on fire, and he proceeds to drag Obi-Wan through it. It's like, holy shit.
He's like inflicting pain.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the part I think he says, that's where he says, "You should have killed me when you had the chance."
Yeah.
And he's like dragging me slowly through it, or him through it slowly. And
he tells him, "This is just the beginning of your pain."
Yes. While he leaves him in the fire now, like he's not like moving anymore.
No, he leaves him in the middle of the fire.
Yep. He just drug Obi-Wan into the fire and is just force holding him there. And then we get stormtroopers show up, and then he puts the fire out somehow, right? I think he just
waves his hand.
He basically just forces the fire out. And then he was like, bring him to me. And then the stormtrooper starts to proceed his way over there.
And then he gets shot.
Darla snipes him.
Yep.
Dead trooper.
Yep.
And then what's she going to do now? Like at this point, what Vader looks up and he's basically searching for the person who did that.
And all the stormtroopers are looking up. So she just lights the stuff on fire with her gun. And then you see Ned B come pick up Obi-Wan. And Tarla tells him to get him to the transport. And they carry him off. She tells him, you'll be okay.
Yep. She's like, we got to get him to, I don't remember the name of the planet. I didn't write it down, but there's Jin B or something like that, I think was the planet. They said they got to get him to Jin B or Jun B. That's either a person or a planet, I guess.
I thought that was the pilot, like so they could get him.
Oh, okay, the pilot on. Okay, yeah. That makes sense. So yeah, then we cut back to Leia running through the tunnel, and she gets to the end of the tunnel, and she's like, is everybody else here? She's like,
are you who I'm supposed to meet?
Are you who I'm supposed to meet? That's exactly what she said.
And then you hear the third sister's voice. No, they couldn't make it.
She's like, but I'll take you from here. And Leia knows.
She's like, mm-mm.
She kind of glances out of the tunnel and sees a dead dude over there. And she's like, nope, turns around and runs. And you see her disappear.
Yep.
Episode ends.
Yep.
That's it. Cut, print, check the gate. We're done.
It needs to be next Wednesday.
It's like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. This is one I absolutely know we're going to sit down and binge all 6 of them again.
Yes.
When it's over.
Yes. And then probably watch A New Hope.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yeah. That sounds great. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We'll just go through the whole movie span.
I'm down with it. Because
we'll even throw in the Rogue One and Han Solo and
yeah.
I'm game.
Absolutely. We've already watched episodes 1, 2, and 3, and then we'll watch this, and then we're going to do 4, 5, and 6, and throw in the other guys in there too. We might have to watch Solo and Rogue One. We'll watch Solo, and then it would be 4, and then you could do Rogue One somewhere because Rogue One happens during 4, so it's hard to fit that one in. You know what I mean?
You got to kind of figure out where you're going to put it at.
Yeah, because they blow up Alderaan in episode 4. New Hope, boom, and that's what happens in Rogue One. Spoiler alerts for people out there. If you didn't know, Alderaan blows up, and that's what the movie is about when you go watch Rogue One.
We'll figure it out.
This episode was amazing.
It was awesome. I'm so happy to have a show that I'm happy to talk about, and I don't have to complain.
Well, hopefully I'm not talking too much and taking it all away from you.
No, you're fine. I'm chiming in where I'm ready to chime in.
Yeah, but it's super, super good. Everybody needs to watch.
You can't go wrong with Star Wars. I mean, I know it's a hot button sometimes for people, but I love Star Wars.
Yeah. And it can be a hot button. And I do have to mention it because there's been negative racist slurs and everything being thrown at Moses, which is the actress that plays the third sister. And it's uncalled for. It's disgusting. It shouldn't happen.
Nope. You are not a real Star Wars fan.
She's doing a pretty killer job, I will have to say, and I've
seen her like her character,
Yep.
But you don't need to be an asshole to the actor.
Yeah, you don't you don't have to be happy with the
they're
content.
They're not the real person.
Yeah. They're not creating the content that you're mad about.
Right.
They're doing their job. And if you don't like that, that's fine. You're allowed to have an opinion, but certain things, you know what? Keep to yourself. It's just that simple. And it's extremely unfortunate. I'm really looking forward to, we've talked a ton about character building. It's happening in this show, and I want to see character building there. And I would watch a show just following her as the bad guy right now at this point. If she survives this series, I would fully watch it because I'm always wondering what the hell she's going to do next. Just like Vader, is evil and he'll basically kill you any second he wants to. But we've seen his story, so we know how that plays out. I haven't seen hers.
It's the conniving for me that I'm just like, I just can't get behind it.
Oh, I would watch her character so bad.
She's doing a great job as the third sister. The third sister character, I do not like. Like, Vader, he doesn't go behind your back. He'll just force choke you to death. Like, you don't give two craps.
That's what I'm saying. Like, see if they build her character to a level of that, which if they put her into a position of power, I could see her being like a Cersei from Game of Thrones. Like,
she needed to die too.
I agreed, but it would be great to see the journey. Like, I would go on that journey with her 100% and enjoy it. Because I like the character, unlike you.
I would watch it. I mean, it's Star Wars. I'm a little biased when it comes to Star Wars.
I think I like her character because it's so different. Honestly, like, it's the one thing in the show that I'm like totally at the will of it all. Like, I have no idea what they're going to do with her, what she's going to do to them, what's going to happen next. She killed the Grand Inquisitor the end of episode 2. Like, I'm like, whoa, what? Didn't see that coming.
Nope.
And I was hooked at that point. I'm like, oh shit. Like, she could just at some point kill anybody, maybe a big star or big actress or character. And we would be like, oh damn, like that's how they died or something, you know, for people who are really deep into the lore or something. I'm happy with it. I'm super stoked. I can't wait for episode 4.
Same.
Hopefully
let's watch it.
It's better than this one, and they just keep getting better and better. We have a hurt Obi-Wan, so there won't be a whole lot of stuff happening there. So I have a feeling it might be a little bit down next time as far as like the amount of action, but they could turn into Vader.
Wars. Like, they can heal pretty quickly.
That's true. They do stuff they just spray on, and then you're good
to go. Like,
absolutely.
Walk it off.
They put food with powder and water and stir it, and boom, you have bread. You know what I mean? So yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully you guys are too. Really great response for our first episode we put out. It was a double deal episode. So we really appreciate the great response on that one. And clearly it seems like you guys are enjoying these. So we're going to keep doing them, geeking out with everybody. And remember, you guys can always, you know, get in touch with us. Links below, all that good stuff. And we would definitely love to talk some more Star Wars. Don't forget, we have the Discord and everything available as well. We're going to get out of here for this one, and we're going to be back next week. Should be about the same time.
Yep.
Same channel. Same Star Wars
same
station.
Time and channel.
Yes. So, all right, guys. Well, everybody out there, have a great week and weekend. And until next week, stay safe.